It's been a wild ride across the entire planet as we've gone through the first 2 units of AP World History Modern, but today we wrap up the last 2 sections of the post-classical period, 1200 to 1450. So we've set the stage for the course. We've seen the major regions and how they interact with one another. Only one thing left. Today, we look at the consequences, both environmental and cultural, of the networks of exchange. So the College Board wraps up the networks of exchange with 2 sections on consequences. In reality, your teacher probably already went over this stuff as they went through Units 1 and Unit 2, so there's really no need for this extra section at the end. How do I know that your teacher probably already went over it? Because I went over it with you a couple days ago. As we keep going through these things are bound to pop up when you're talking about either the global tapestry or the networks of exchange. But since the College Board does it as a separate thing, we'll do it as a separate thing, so let's go. One section focuses on the cultural consequences. The other section focuses on the environmental consequences. And to be honest, we're going to fly through this because it's pretty redundant. First, cultural consequences. Increased cross-cultural interactions resulted in the diffusion of literary, artistic, and cultural traditions, as well as scientific and technical innovations. And as you can see here, this is where all the travelers we've discussed are actually mentioned by name. Now, this is also where the spread of religion along the trade routes is also brought up. Finally, you can see the technology that moved across the networks. Now, I didn't include these on the map I use on my website, but the College Board does specifically talk about the growth of trade cities. But then, of course, they don't mention any of them by name. So I made my own list, a FREEMAN-PEDIA list of cities to know in the post-classical period. First, Timbuktu, the Malian capital along the trans-Saharan trade route. Second, Venice, the Italian city-state that served as the entry point to Europe. Third, Cairo, the capital of the Mamluk Sultanate, and one of the new intellectual cultural capitals of Dar al-Islam following the fall of Baghdad in 1258. 4 and 5 were both ones we specifically mentioned along the Silk Road, Kashgar and Samarkand, 2 of the trade cities from the boring Silk Road that everyone fell asleep on. 6, Beijing. From here on, this is the capital of China. It's the only one you need to know. If this was an ancient history course, there's 1,000 Chinese capitals, but from here on, it's Beijing or bust. 7, Delhi, heart of India and capital of the Sultanate, and later the Mughal Empire in Unit 3. 8, Malacca, heart of the trading sultanate that bears its name in Southeast Asia. There are other trade cities, obviously, but I would say that knowing these 8 should be good. In fact, it's probably impossible to go through all of the sections of Unit 1 and all of the sections of Unit 2 without mentioning at least 5 or 6 of these. Finally, the environmental consequences. And this section is short. Very short. All they say is this: there was a continued diffusion of crops and pathogens with epidemic diseases, including bubonic plague, along trade routes. See, not a lot. And on the map, I put all the illustrative examples that they give you. Now, I took these a step further and added the routes these environmental effects traveled because I'm extra. So the specifics they mention are going to be sugar, bananas, citrus fruits, and champa rice, and of course the bubonic plague. Now, notice how all of these arrows appear to be on top of the networks of exchange? Yeah. That's the point. All right, that's it. Those were the networks of exchange. That's Unit 2. Next up, we focus on the MVP of the networks of exchange. But you'll have to wait till tomorrow. See you then.